I think central to creating more loving relationships is if people demonstrate more care, compassion and empathy towards each other and don't judge.
I think the most effective way to create more loving relationships is through compassion. If we can be curious about what is happening for you, then it gives us a place to calm down when things get tough. So if I can stay in a place of curiosity, it helps me to stay connected to you. It's when we get frustrated that it becomes harder to stay in touch with somebody. And that is when we need curiosity most of all, is when we're feeling frustrated and angry.
So one thing we can do is to think about the risk aversion that we currently live with and try and get that turned around.
By taking on board what parents want, by giving parents flexibility, by having workers on early years sector that is quite diverse, well trained, but actually recognising the role that everybody plays and that children may need different things at different stages in their lives and also for the families.
Well, one of the things I've been saying is that when the teenage years come along, often loving relationships go flying out the window. Not for everyone, of course, but it's quite difficult, I think, for parents. And my belief is that if parents understood more about the stage that young people are going through, and particularly the amount of change in the brain, it would help them to understand that this strange behaviour isn't going to last forever, and that their little child, who was very, very kind and nice and talkative, will come back again.
I think we're here today as professionals, and we're hearing the guest speakers today are fabulous, and I think the depth of their research gives you heart of there's differences we can make, but for me we need to tell the parents and the families this. So we need to learn things, how we articulate that to families and to parents themselves. We can be affectionate towards the children we work with, but we need to give these key messages to parents.
The most valuable thing we could do for families in Scotland is to have less judgment. Families, parents, children are subject to terrible judgment. People have a sense that someone's being bad, that they're not controlling their children enough, that behavior is bad. If we could take away that judgment, it would allow people to flourish. It would allow people to make mistakes. It would allow people to turn and get help when times are hard. I think judgment is a terrible problem for all families, and indeed for all of us living in Scotland.
I think more, especially for parents who are trying to get back out to work, is more affordable childcare, and childcare that's subsidised but also gives them a range from a nursery setting to a childminder setting, which for some children is what parents want, and is actually good for the children to get that one-to-one home-based support, and that they can move on to nursery support if that's what's necessary later on.
Making everything equal for everybody, so giving everybody equal opportunity. For example, there was a thing to do with young people the other day, and there were some schools that didn't get any secondments away to go and look at other careers at all. There was no school placements, and that was from the whole city, so that can't be right, whereas in another city, so we've got to get equality for all the country.
Equality of opportunity.
Here today, it's really all about relationships, I think. Better relationships, better understanding. And one of the things that I feel very strongly about is understanding communication between partners, mothers and fathers, but also teenagers and their parents, because communication often breaks down. And parents think that their teenager doesn't want to listen to them, and teenagers think that their parents, all they want to do is interrogate them about where they were last night. So I think if we could have better communication, better relationships, I think that would make a huge difference.
I also clearly want to thank all of our presenters today They've clearly put in a huge amount of work in preparing for the conference and taking their brief very seriously. All of the presentations have been really, really valuable, and I'm sure that you'll take the opportunity to look at the presentations when they come through and share them with colleagues. I hope that you do.
One thing to improve the lives of farmers is if we recognise that relationships and healthy relationships is a key part of how we grow and develop. Now, it doesn't mean that everything's going to be plain sailing. We're all going to face adversity in our lives. But where can we get that bounce back ability, that resilience? And it comes from having healthy relationships. So we can promote that healthy relationships. It helps children and young people and us all have kind of healthier lives. So it makes Scotland a better place to grow up in.